third visit to the mental institute, and we got a back-to-back 51, 50, and 14 day, 52, 50 for 17 days in your mind jail. Anyway, when we get out in 2006, we regrouped our mind together and went back to writing a little bit on the side as we were golfing along the days and the mornings. But that's not the point. What is the point? So it took us till probably, it was the spring of 2007. We won a tournament at the Indian Wells Country Club. We were low handicap of them all. That was the last time I ever played golf. Because what the heck, when you win your club's tournament, out of all those people, you might as well go out on top. So I stopped golfing. But anyway, that's not the point. The point is, by about June of 2007, I started going again. But this time my emails were more clear. They were less looking like spam and more looking like, well, words of truth. And so I started to buy technology from Best Buy. I was going to create 18 or 19 multimedia systems multiplexed in my living room so I could have real-time eye chat with the board of angels that I appointed. And along the way, well, I did lots of movies on my cameras, and I purchased 2. Take my one high-definition camera and started recording with 2 high-definition cameras, one for each eye, to simulate my 3D. Well, those tapes are still around in hundreds of hours. A couple made it to YouTube, but really only a couple out of lots of time. Anyway, the Best Buy geeks were totally incompetent. They burned, and well, they didn't burn in my house, but they blew out the power. We couldn't even get the 2 media systems, and they blew out the power of my townhome. Anyway, along the way, your high towers decided to arrest me again. But this time they decided it wasn't a 5150. They charged me with arson. I never committed arson. They charged me with arson, storming into my house. I shouldn't have let them in. Why would I trust them again? I opened the back door, and the next thing I know, I'm under arrest for arson. And then I get an all-fair trial. I stood up in front of the judge the first time after 6 days, and I finally got my say. And I told him, "You have no dominion over me." And he said, "Shut up and sit down." And I asked my daughter to get me out, to get my money, to get a lawyer, to get me out. But it never happened. And a week later, I made the mistake of even allowing a public defender to represent me for 2 minutes. But that public defender didn't represent me. He represented his own malpractice. He accused me under 1326, but he did it without even interviewing me, which is, well, is by my interpretation of that law, to call me into question for mental competence after a 2-minute conversation with me was just total malpractice and incompetence. Well, that cost me 2.5 months before I paid for a very expensive unjust justice and pled out to what ultimately, well, you started me on a felony. And then, now it's a misdemeanor because I was good for a year. Misdemeanor mind vandalism is what I pled out to. So, you pretty much took away my fall, but gave me a great time in jail. I met some of the best people in jail. You have some of your best people in jail. Well, I don't know if you're best people in jail, but I think there's a lot of better people in jail than the people you let run your place. But anyway, that's part of the point. Hold on, we have to stop for a moment for an interruption of a call. The second, when they put me in the mine jail. Well, along the way in July, while my house is blowing up, I thought it might have been the air conditioner. Anyway, along the way in the parking lot, one Joshua Simon approached me and asked me, I think he asked me for $100. I think I gave it to him. And then I suggested that I might have a job helping me clean up around the house that was full of all kind of Best Buy stuff and crazy stuff. And it was a mess because I was making it a mess and putting the mess in the movie. And anyway, that's not the point. And then Joshua comes and he shows up with his wife, Diana. I assume that's her name. They told me those were her names, but who knows these people? Anyway, they helped out around the house. Anyway, and then Diana had a little heart with the Jesus on it. Well, I don't know, I was crazy at the time. I thought they were sent in by producers, and I didn't know. Well, anyway, maybe they were sent in by my producers, but the bottom line, they were sent in as villains. And while I was in jail, they kept trying to get my money. They took my car and kept my car and drove it all over the place. They put more miles on my car than I ever put on my car myself. Anyway, so, and then my daughter takes my power of attorney to E3. They reject it, and I can't get to my money, and then she gives up. She says some lawyer told her, who had never seen my file or interviewed me or know anything but hearsay, fines, and then says I'll never come out. So she decides, well, after it turns out all my good stuff that I bought from Best Buy was stolen, she says the rest of my furniture and stuff for almost nothing and throws away 40 years of my innovation. Kept in 4 large, tall, 4-drawer, black metal file cases. 40 years. So, and then I was evicted. Of course, they said I was evicted. All this is happening in my first couple of weeks while I'm in jail, and they can't get me out, and I can't get my money, and I can't get a lawyer without my money, and my daughter is worthless, and then these people are trying to steal from me. And then, on top of that, after my daughter gets a security alert, Fidelity does great. They put in an alert at the account and lock it up, and E-Trade puts an alert and supposedly locks it up, but then 2 days later, cash stolen, checks of $30,000 from those same fuckers that stole my car. And anyway, eventually, those guys gave me my car back. And then I didn't have proof that they stole anything, but I told the police, but the police don't do anything about that. And they just look at you as the criminal. I don't know. Anyway, the point was, it was a very trying 2007, 2.5 years into my story. A very trying time, where you really went to destroy what I had left of my life. And you succeeded. And it got really weird when I moved to Nether Drive. And then you started stealing money while I was sleeping. $100,000 out of my closet. TVs out of my bedroom. TVs out of my bedroom while I was there sleeping. You were coming into my house stealing. It was stealing and stealing and stealing. And then I had to leave. And that was a nightmare. But that brought me... Well, that brought me because, see, I didn't get into Neville until I got out of jail in November. It took me the whole following summer, and then I got out of jail, and I went to Neville, and by January, they're stealing from me, and by February, March, I had to leave. And I did. But that's the time, in 2008, when I cracked your reality code, and told you, and I announced my new science of law. And of course, that's when I merged the Pope and Playboy and Flynn and all those guys in Sandion Johns to dial back the pawn to the D's around Playboy. And then, well, let's make good porn if there's such a thing, and I think there probably is, because they've had it for lots of years. Let's make ourselves good porn and leave the bad porn to your Wild West internet, where anything goes and nothing counts.